If you're a man over 60, you need to hear this. For over 3 decades, I've sat across from men just like you. Men who thought they were doing everything right for their health but still watched their vitality, energy, and sexual confidence slowly fade. They'd tell me about their healthy breakfasts, the fruit they faithfully ate, believing it was protecting them. What I discovered, through rigorous clinical practice and constant review of emerging research, is a quiet crisis unfolding in kitchens everywhere. That seemingly innocent piece of fruit you reach for first thing in the morning? It could be systematically dismantling the very foundations of your manhood, your erections, your testosterone, your enduring sense of virility. Day after day, bite after bite, without a single warning sign until it's often too late. You feel it, don't you? That slight weakening of your morning erection, the extra effort it takes to get hard, the frustrating fade before you're ready. You brush it off, attributing it to the inevitable march of time. I'm just getting older, you tell yourself. But what if I told you that aging isn't the primary thief here? What if the real culprit is sitting right there on your breakfast plate, masquerading as a health food? I'm Dr. Lucy Stone. I've dedicated my career to helping men reclaim their natural vitality without resorting to dangerous pills or invasive procedures. And what I've uncovered about common breakfast fruits, backed by startling new research, will change everything you thought you knew about starting your day right. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about revealing the scientific truth hidden beneath decades of nutritional misinformation. The damage isn't dramatic. It's insidious. It's the slow, silent erosion of blood flow caused by chronic inflammation. It's the gradual suppression of your precious testosterone by hormonal signals gone haywire. It's the steady decline in nitric oxide, the master molecule for erections, choked off by repeated biochemical assaults originating from your morning meal. And the worst part? You've likely never been warned. In fact, you've probably been encouraged to eat more of these very fruits. The consequences manifest not as sharp pain, but as a dull ache of lost potential, the fading confidence, the resigned acceptance, the belief that your best years are irrevocably behind you. But they don't have to be. The key lies in understanding exactly which fruits sabotage your system and why, especially after 60 when your body's resilience to sugar and its metabolic fallout significantly diminishes. Recent 2023 studies published in journals like The Aging Male and the Journal of Sexual Medicine are finally confirming what I've observed clinically for years. The direct, measurable link between high glycemic load breakfasts and plummeting erectile function scores in men over 60. It's not the fruit itself inherently, but how and when you consume it that turns a potential benefit into a silent killer of performance. Your body after 60 is fundamentally different. Insulin sensitivity decreases. Liver function in processing sugars, especially fructose, becomes less efficient. Testosterone production is naturally more fragile. The vascular system, the very pipeline for strong erections, is more susceptible to inflammation. That banana, that glass of OJ, that handful of grapes eaten solo on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, hits your system like a sledgehammer, triggering a cascade of hormonal chaos your body struggles to contain. Let's cut through the noise and get specific. Forget vague advice. Let's expose the 7 specific fruits you absolutely must avoid in the morning if you value your erection strength, your energy levels, and the confident, capable man you know you still are inside. These aren't exotic, rare foods. They're staples, found in nearly every refrigerator and fruit bowl in the country. And the 5th one. It's so common, so universally loved, and its effects so devastatingly misunderstood, that you'll likely gasp when you understand the full picture. This is the truth your breakfast plate has been hiding. This is how you start reclaiming what's rightfully yours. Bananas, especially those soft, sweet, spotted ones you might slice onto cereal or blend into a smoothie, top this list for a critical reason. For decades, they've been hailed as the ultimate convenient health food, packed with potassium, easy to digest, nature's perfect snack. I recommended them myself for years, believing the hype. But emerging research and decades of clinical observation paint a starkly different picture, particularly for the metabolic landscape of a man over 60. Here's the brutal biochemical truth that unfolds when you eat that ripe banana on an empty stomach. As a banana ripens, its starch content dramatically converts into simple sugars, sucrose, glucose, and fructose. That brown speckled banana isn't just sweeter, it's essentially a sugar grenade. Consumed alone first thing in the morning, your body, fresh from an overnight fast, is uniquely vulnerable. There's no protein, no significant fat, no fiber matrix, like in a whole grain, to slow the absorption. This sugar tsunami hits your bloodstream almost instantly. Your pancreas, already potentially struggling with age-related insulin resistance, panics. It floods your system with insulin to desperately clear the glucose overload. This is where the silent assassination of your sexual health begins. That massive insulin surge isn't just about blood sugar. For men over 60, it acts like a hormonal wrecking ball. Firstly, high insulin levels directly suppress the production of testosterone in your Leydig cells. A pivotal 2022 study in Endocrine Connections demonstrated that acute hyperinsulinemia, a rapid spike in insulin, significantly reduced circulating testosterone levels in older men within hours. Secondly, insulin promotes inflammation and oxidative stress, damaging the delicate endothelial lining of your blood vessels. This endothelium is the factory where nitric oxide, NO, the absolutely essential chemical for triggering and maintaining an erection, is produced. Damage the endothelium, and you cripple NO production. Thirdly, insulin encourages the conversion of testosterone into estrogen, aromatization, further tipping the hormonal balance against virility. The result: weakened blood flow to the penis, suppressed testosterone, and a direct attack on the very mechanism of erection. And because this happens silently, without immediate pain, you blame age while your breakfast banana quietly steals your potency bite by bite. If you can't imagine life without bananas, the damage control strategy is non-negotiable. Never eat them alone and never on an empty stomach, especially in the morning. If you must have one, make it a small, slightly underripe banana, lower sugar content, and consume it after a substantial protein and healthy fat-based meal. Think eggs cooked in olive oil or full-fat Greek yogurt with nuts. This pairing dramatically slows the sugar absorption, blunting the insulin spike and its catastrophic downstream effects on your manhood. The key is to avoid that solo morning sugar surge at all costs. Grapes, those tiny refreshing orbs you might casually pop by the handful straight from the fridge, are the second major saboteur hiding in plain sight. Their small size is incredibly deceptive. Don't let their innocent appearance fool you. For men over 60 concerned about erections and energy, they represent a significant concentrated threat, especially first thing in the morning. The danger lies in their composition. Grapes are essentially little sacks of sugar water. They boast a very high sugar content relative to their size and weight, primarily glucose and fructose. Crucially, they contain minimal fiber and virtually no fat or protein to mitigate the impact. When you consume them on an empty stomach, perhaps grabbing a quick handful while the coffee brews, they are digested with alarming speed. This rapid digestion means their sugar payload dumps into your bloodstream almost immediately, causing a sharp, steep spike in blood glucose levels. Your body, perceiving an emergency, responds with a massive surge of insulin. For a younger, metabolically resilient man, this might be manageable. But after 60, your system is far more vulnerable. That insulin tsunami, triggered by what feels like a healthy snack, initiates a devastating chain reaction. As with bananas, this insulin flood directly suppresses testosterone synthesis. New research from 2023 in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition highlights how postprandial, after eating, hyperglycemia and hyperinsulinemia acutely lower bioavailable testosterone in older males. Furthermore, the rapid blood sugar spike and subsequent crash, often hitting mid-morning, create oxidative stress and inflammation. This inflammation directly impairs endothelial function, the lining of your blood vessels responsible for producing nitric oxide. Without adequate NO, the arteries in your penis cannot dilate sufficiently to allow the massive blood inflow required for a strong, lasting erection. The damage is cumulative and silent. You might feel a slight dip in energy mid-morning, a bit of brain fog, maybe less spontaneous arousal. You dismiss it as a busy day or just getting older. Meanwhile, the repeated daily assault from those healthy grapes is quietly degrading the vascular and hormonal foundations of your sexual performance. Enjoying grapes isn't forbidden, but the timing and context are absolutely critical for preservation. Never make them a morning snack, especially on an empty stomach. If you want grapes, have them after a substantial lunch or dinner rich in protein and healthy fats. The presence of other macronutrients significantly slows sugar absorption, preventing the damaging spike and insulin surge. Think of them as an occasional treat after a meal, never a breakfast staple or a quick morning fix. The cost to your erections and vitality is simply too high. Orange juice, that sunny, refreshing glass you've likely been told is synonymous with a healthy start, might be the most pervasive and damaging offender on this list. It's a masterclass in nutritional deception. We've been conditioned for generations by clever marketing to believe that OJ is essentially liquid health, packed with immune-boosting vitamin C. The reality, especially for men over 60 focused on sexual vitality, is shockingly different. Orange juice is not fruit, it's fruit-flavored sugar water with some vitamins. Stripped of virtually all the fiber that slows sugar absorption in a whole orange, OJ delivers a concentrated hit of fructose and glucose directly into your system. Scientifically, the glycemic index, GI, of orange juice is high, meaning it causes a rapid rise in blood sugar. More tellingly, its glycemic load, GL, which considers both the GI and the actual carbohydrate amount per serving, is alarmingly high, often comparable to sugary sodas. A typical 8-ounce glass can contain 20 to 25 grams of sugar or more, hitting your bloodstream with the force of a tidal wave when consumed on an empty stomach. This is the absolute worst time for this sugar assault. After a night's fast, your body is primed for a gentle refueling, not a sugar bomb. The immediate, massive spike in blood glucose triggers an equally massive insulin surge from your pancreas. This is where the silent castration of your morning begins. That flood of insulin does 3 catastrophic things simultaneously for a man over 60. First, it acts as a potent suppressor of testosterone production, as confirmed by numerous studies linking hyperinsulinemia to reduced testosterone levels. Second, it promotes acute inflammation and directly damages the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels, crippling their ability to produce nitric oxide, NO, the critical vasodilator for erections. A 2024 vascular study explicitly linked acute high-sugar beverage consumption to impaired endothelial function within minutes in older adults. Third, the insulin surge promotes the conversion of testosterone into estrogen, further unbalancing your hormonal profile towards less virility. The initial energy boost from OJ is fleeting, driven purely by the sugar high. Within an hour or two, you experience the inevitable crash, plummeting blood sugar leading to fatigue, irritability, brain fog, and a noticeable dip in drive. This crash isn't just about energy, it reflects the hormonal chaos unfolding inside you, chaos that directly weakens your ability to achieve and sustain firm erections. Repeated daily, this cycle becomes a primary driver of age-related sexual decline that is entirely preventable. If you crave citrus in the morning, absolutely skip the juice. Opt instead for a whole orange. The intact fiber matrix dramatically slows sugar absorption, blunting the glycemic spike and insulin response. Eat it after some protein and fat, perhaps a couple of eggs or some full-fat yogurt. Better yet, break your fast with protein, healthy fats, and water or herbal tea, and save any fruit, including citrus, for later in the day when your metabolic resilience is higher. That morning glass of OJ isn't a health ritual, it's a daily demolition job on your manhood. Watermelon, particularly when consumed in large quantities or first thing in the morning, presents a uniquely frustrating paradox for men seeking to protect their sexual health. It's often touted as a superfood for erections due to its citrulline content, an amino acid precursor to nitric oxide, NO. I believed this myself for years, happily devouring big slices on summer mornings, convinced I was boosting my blood flow. The bitter truth, revealed through clinical experience and a deeper dive into the science, is that for men over 60, the way we typically eat watermelon often completely negates any potential benefit and actively causes harm. Yes, watermelon contains citrulline. However, the amount needed for a significant, reliable NO boost is substantial, far more than most people eat in a typical serving. More critically, watermelon is over 90% water, but the remaining solid portion is predominantly sugar. Lycopene and other nutrients are present, but sugar dominates by weight. It has a very high glycemic index and glycemic load. When you eat a large slice or bowl of watermelon on an empty stomach, especially at breakfast, you are once again subjecting your system to a rapid influx of sugar. This triggers the now familiar destructive cascade: blood sugar spike, massive insulin surge, inflammation, endothelial damage, testosterone suppression, and ironically, a reduction in functional NO availability due to the inflammatory damage outweighing any citrulline benefit. The high water content means it digests incredibly quickly, leaving you feeling hungry again soon after. This often leads to reaching for more quick carbs or sugar mid-morning, perpetuating the damaging cycle of blood sugar roller coasters that wreak havoc on hormones and vascular health. The very fruit you thought was helping your erections is, in the common scenario of morning solo consumption, actively undermining them through its sugar payload. The citrulline is essentially drowned out by the metabolic chaos. Furthermore, research suggests that the efficiency of converting citrulline to arginine and then to NO may decrease with age and metabolic dysfunction, making the sugar impact even more dominant for the over 60 male. Enjoying watermelon requires strict strategic timing. Never eat it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Avoid large portions. The safest approach is small amounts, a cup or less, consumed after a balanced lunch or dinner rich in protein and healthy fats. The protein and fat dramatically slow the sugar absorption, minimizing the insulin spike. The citrulline might then have a chance to exert a positive effect without being counteracted by metabolic mayhem. Think of it as a light dessert, not a breakfast centerpiece or a hydrating morning snack. Consumed recklessly, its potential benefits are obliterated by its sugar-fueled damage to your erection machinery. Mangoes, with their luscious, tropical sweetness, are perhaps the most heartbreaking entry on this list for many men, myself included. They taste like pure indulgence, a sensory delight. For years, I sliced them up for breakfast, believing their vibrant color signaled vibrant health. Devastatingly, I learned that for men navigating the hormonal shifts of life beyond 60, that morning mango ritual could be a stealthy assassin targeting the core of virility, testosterone, and vascular integrity. The primary weapon here is fructose. Mangoes are exceptionally high in this specific type of sugar. Unlike glucose, which is metabolized by cells throughout the body, fructose is processed almost exclusively by the liver. When you're young and your liver function is optimal, it can handle moderate fructose loads. However, after 60, liver efficiency often declines, and many men already have some degree of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, often undiagnosed. Eating a high fructose fruit like mango first thing in the morning on an empty stomach is like throwing gasoline on a smoldering fire. The liver is overwhelmed. Excess fructose is converted directly into liver fat, accelerating NAFLD. Why does this matter for erections? A fatty liver is a metabolic disaster zone. It severely disrupts hormone regulation, particularly testosterone. The liver plays a crucial role in managing sex hormone-binding globulin, SHBG. Fatty liver disease often leads to increased SHBG levels. SHBG binds tightly to testosterone, rendering it biologically inactive. It's present in your blood but useless to your body. This means your free, bioavailable testosterone, the kind that actually fuels your sex drive, energy, and erectile function, plummets. Furthermore, fructose metabolism generates uric acid and promotes inflammation, damaging blood vessels and further impairing nitric oxide production essential for erections. The rapid sugar spike from mango also triggers the inevitable insulin surge, compounding the testosterone suppression and vascular damage. The combination of liver stress, plummeting free testosterone, and inflamed blood vessels creates a perfect storm for erectile dysfunction. The fact that this damage originates from a fruit perceived as supremely healthy makes it particularly insidious. You can still savor mangoes, but only with extreme strategic caution. Treat them strictly as an occasional dessert, never a breakfast item. Consume only a small portion, a few cubes, after a substantial meal rich in protein, healthy fats, and fiber. The other macronutrients slow fructose absorption, giving your liver a fighting chance to process it without being overwhelmed. Never, ever eat mango alone or on an empty stomach. That morning mango smoothie or fruit bowl is a direct path to sap testosterone and weakened erections. The pleasure simply isn't worth the steep, hidden cost to your manhood. Pineapple, with its bright, tangy sweetness and reputation for aiding digestion, thanks to bromelain, feels like a genuinely healthy choice. It's tropical, refreshing, and packed with vitamin C. For decades, I included it in morning fruit salads or smoothies, believing I was boosting my health. The harsh reality, particularly stark for men over 60 focused on preserving sexual function, is that pineapple is a wolf in sheep's clothing when consumed incorrectly, especially at the start of your day. The core problem, once again, is its deceptively high sugar content. Pineapple ranks very high on the glycemic index. Just 1 cup of pineapple chunks contains around 16 grams of sugar, with minimal fiber and virtually no fat or protein to slow its absorption. When you eat pineapple by itself first thing in the morning, you repeat the destructive pattern: rapid digestion, immediate sugar dump into the bloodstream, a violent spike in blood glucose, and a consequent flood of insulin. For an aging male metabolism, this is catastrophic. That insulin surge directly attacks testosterone production and promotes systemic inflammation. While bromelain has anti-inflammatory properties in isolation, its effect is completely overwhelmed by the inflammatory cascade triggered by the sugar spike and insulin response in the context of a whole food eaten solo. This inflammation directly damages the vascular endothelium, the critical layer responsible for producing nitric oxide. Without sufficient NO, the smooth muscle in the penile arteries cannot relax adequately to allow the necessary surge of blood for an erection. The bromelain's potential benefits for digestion or minor inflammation elsewhere are irrelevant when the foundational systems for sexual performance are being actively eroded by the fruit's sugar payload. Furthermore, the acidity of pineapple, combined with the sugar hit, can contribute to gut irritation for some men, adding another layer of stress to a system already under metabolic assault. The initial refreshing zing quickly gives way to the metabolic fallout: inflammation, hormonal imbalance, and vascular damage that directly undermine erection quality over time. Enjoying pineapple requires strict adherence to timing and pairing. Never consume it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Avoid making it a breakfast staple. If you desire pineapple, have a small serving, half a cup or less, after a substantial meal containing protein and healthy fats. Think grilled chicken salad with olive oil dressing or salmon with vegetables. This pairing is non-negotiable. It drastically slows the sugar absorption, mitigating the insulin spike and allowing any potential bromelain benefits to surface without being counteracted by metabolic chaos. Consumed recklessly, especially early in the day, pineapple is a sweet saboteur of your sexual vitality. Dried fruit, raisins, dates, apricots, cranberries, even seemingly healthy options like goji berries, represents perhaps the greatest nutritional deception for men seeking health after 60. They're marketed relentlessly as natural, nutrient-dense, fiber-packed snacks, perfect for on-the-go energy. I carried little bags of them for years, tossing them into oatmeal, yogurt, or just munching solo, utterly convinced I was making a smart choice. The clinical and biochemical truth, however, is brutal. For preserving erections and testosterone, dried fruit consumed as a typical snack, especially in the morning, is a disaster. The dehydration process removes water, concentrating everything else. What you're left with is an incredibly dense packet of sugar, primarily fructose and glucose, with a much smaller amount of fiber relative to the sugar load compared to the whole fruit. A small handful of raisins can contain the sugar of a large bunch of grapes, but without the water volume that provided some satiety and slightly slowed absorption. Your body processes most dried fruit almost identically to candy. The glycemic index of many dried fruits, like dates and raisins, is high to very high. When you eat them alone, particularly on an empty stomach, e.g., sprinkled on oatmeal which itself can spike blood sugar, or grabbed as a quick snack, the concentrated sugar hits your bloodstream like a freight train. The insulin surge required to manage this is massive and immediate. For a man over 60, this repeated assault is devastating. The insulin spike crushes testosterone production. The high fructose load directly stresses the liver, promoting fat accumulation and inflammation, further disrupting hormone balance, increasing SHBG, reducing free testosterone. The oxidative stress generated damages blood vessels, impairing endothelial function and nitric oxide production. The fiber present is simply insufficient to counteract this metabolic tsunami. The result: a slow, insidious erosion of the hormonal and vascular foundations required for strong, reliable erections. You might notice it as a gradual decline in morning spontaneity, needing more direct stimulation, or erections that feel less firm or fade more quickly. Because dried fruit feels so wholesome and light, the connection to these changes is almost never made. They are the ultimate stealth weapon against your sexual vitality. Consuming dried fruit demands extreme caution. Never eat them alone as a snack, especially in the morning or on an empty stomach. Avoid adding them to high-carb breakfasts like oatmeal or cereal without significant protein/fat buffers. If you choose to include them, do so minimally, a small sprinkle, perhaps 1 tablespoon, and only as part of a larger meal rich in protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Think a salad with chicken, avocado, olive oil, and lots of vegetables, with a few raisins sprinkled on top. The other components are essential to dramatically slow the sugar absorption and mitigate the insulin spike. Viewed through the lens of preserving erectile function and testosterone after 60, dried fruit is not a health food. It's concentrated sugar posing as one, and it's actively working against you. Understanding what to avoid is only half the battle. The profound sense of loss, frustration, and resignation I see in men who realize their healthy habits were backfiring is something I know intimately, both professionally and personally. That disbelief, "but I ate so clean," resonates deeply. For years, I too navigated a landscape of nutritional misinformation, believing my fruit-centric breakfasts were protective. The slow fade of morning energy, the subtle decline in spontaneous desire, the extra effort required where things once happened effortlessly. I attributed it all to the calendar. Seeing the same pattern emerge in countless patients, men vibrant in spirit but feeling betrayed by their bodies, forced a reckoning with the science. The link wasn't aging itself. It was the daily biochemical sabotage triggered by high-sugar, high-glycemic fruits consumed in the metabolically vulnerable state of morning fasting. The damage accumulates quietly, a fractional decrease in endothelial function here, a slight dip in testosterone bioavailability there, a tiny increase in inflammatory markers. Individually insignificant, but compounded daily over months and years, they erode the very pillars of male sexual vitality, robust blood flow and healthy hormone levels. The good news, the truly empowering news, is that this process is reversible. Your body possesses an incredible capacity for repair when given the right conditions. Removing these 7 fruits from your morning routine is the critical first step to stop the bleeding. It halts the daily assaults on your testosterone and blood vessels. Replacing them isn't about deprivation, it's about strategic nourishment that actively rebuilds. Tomorrow morning, and every morning after, make this shift. Start with a large glass of water. Hydration is foundational for blood volume and flow. Then, build your breakfast around foods proven to stabilize blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and support hormonal and vascular health. Prioritize high-quality protein, eggs. Whole eggs are fine for most men. Greek yogurt, full fat, unsweetened. Smoked salmon, or even lean chicken or turkey leftovers. Include healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, nuts, almonds, walnuts, seeds, chia, flax, pumpkin. These slow digestion, prevent blood sugar spikes, provide essential fatty acids for hormone production, and support healthy cell membranes. If you desire fruit, opt for low-glycemic berries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, in strict moderation, half a cup max, always consumed with the protein and fat, never alone. Berries offer powerful antioxidants that combat inflammation and may support blood vessel health. Notice the difference. Within days, many men report more stable energy throughout the morning, no crushing fatigue or brain fog at 11 a.m. Within weeks, pay attention to subtle shifts, a stronger morning erection, a quicker response to stimulation, a returning sense of vitality and drive. These are signs your body is healing, your hormones are rebalancing, and your blood vessels are regaining their function. This isn't magic. It's biochemistry responding to the removal of constant stressors and the provision of essential building blocks. Reclaiming your strength starts with this single, powerful decision at breakfast. The journey we've taken through these 7 fruits isn't about inducing fear. It's about arming you with undeniable truth. Bananas, grapes, orange juice, watermelon, mangoes, pineapple, and dried fruit, icons of supposed health, stand exposed for their hidden, devastating impact on the delicate hormonal and vascular systems of men over 60. When consumed solo, especially on the empty, vulnerable stage of a morning stomach, they trigger a predictable cascade: violent blood sugar spikes, crushing insulin surges, systemic inflammation, endothelial damage, suppressed testosterone production, and crippled nitric oxide availability. The result isn't immediate collapse, but a slow, silent draining of your virility, weaker erections, fading energy, diminished drive, often mistakenly surrendered to just aging. The science, now clearer than ever thanks to recent research, confirms this insidious link. But knowledge is power, and awareness is the first step towards liberation. You now possess the critical insight that what you put on your plate first thing in the morning isn't just fuel. It's a direct instruction manual to your biology. Choosing the high-sugar path instructs your body towards dysfunction. Choosing the protein, healthy fat, and low-glycemic path instructs it towards repair, resilience, and restored function. The choice, starting tomorrow, is unequivocally yours. This isn't an end, but a powerful beginning. Clearing these 7 saboteurs from your morning is the essential foundation. But the story doesn't stop at avoidance. There exists a world of foods, yes, including specific fruits consumed strategically, that actively enhance testosterone production, amplify nitric oxide synthesis, improve blood vessel elasticity, and combat the inflammation that ages you prematurely. Imagine berries that actively protect your endothelium, specific nuts and seeds that provide the raw materials for testosterone, potent herbs and spices that boost blood flow, even dark chocolate that supports nitric oxide. Rebuilding your natural vitality, recapturing the strength and confidence you thought time had stolen, is absolutely possible. It requires consistent action, informed choices, and a commitment to nourishing your body in a way that aligns with its needs after 60. Start tomorrow by banishing those 7 fruits from your breakfast. Embrace the power of protein, healthy fats, and strategic low-sugar berries. Feel the difference as your energy stabilizes and your body begins to heal. Then, take the next step. Discover the specific foods that don't just prevent damage, but actively rebuild your manhood. Your erections, your energy, your enduring confidence, they are worth fighting for. The power to reclaim them starts with your very next meal. Let's rebuild, starting now.